All right. Clap it up, clap it up. Right. It's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohanan. Been bringing this truth since 1969. And what is that truth? That truth is so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are the true biblical Jews of the Bible. Welcome to One West News Desk, hosted by Captain Saparia and Officer Mathum. I am Officer Mathum hosting tonight. Okay, we on One West News Desk. We get into different things that's going on, whether it be around in the nation, in the locally, you understand, or internationally. We try to get a little bit of everything in there, depending on what we pull up. You understand, depending on what's going on today. All right, let's get into it. Baltimore. And I know a lot of people have heard about, Trump, reversing the Justice Department's civil rights policies. What do you think about that? What do you think about Trump reversing, the civil rights policies? How do you feel about that? Let's talk about it. You understand? Civil rights. And here in ISUPK, we've been talking about civil rights since 1969. A lot of us as so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives, we really don't understand civil rights. We really don't understand civil rights. And I want to give it to you really in a nutshell. You understand? What is civil rights? What are civil rights? Civil rights are rights that are given to you as a citizen. Right to vote, the right to justice, the right to freedom of speech, all of the rights that you get as an American citizen. That's what civil rights are. You understand? That's a part of civil rights. You understand? But you say, a lot of us believe that civil rights is something that only, blacks get, blacks, Hispanics, or natives get. You understand civil rights. But in general and in a nutshell, civil rights are something that you get as a citizen. Let's check that out. Let's look up. Let's see what civil rights is. Let's look it up. It's the best way to figure it out, Let's see here. Where we got? Civil rights. Wait a minute. Let me turn that on. There we go. Now think about this, right? Let's listen to it now. Let's get the definition. Civil rights are essential components of democracy, right? They're guarantees of equal social opportunities and protections under the law, regardless of race, religion, or other characteristics. Examples are the rights to vote. We just talked about that earlier. Civil rights is a right to vote. So now we're looking at this policy that Trump is trying to change, right? Trying to change the civil rights policy. So examples of civil rights are the right to vote, to a fair trial, to government services, and to public education. That's just some of the, basics of civil rights. So now what we have to do is we have to step back and say, or ask ourselves, are we getting civil rights? Think about it now. Are we getting civil rights? Now, let's go back again. It says civil rights are an essential component of a democracy. They're guarantees of equal social opportunities. Now, ask yourself, are we a people who get equal social opportunities? Think about it, right? Equal social opportunities and protections under the law. Think about the things that have been happening to us. Let's just go. We don't want to go too far back. Let's just go back to the 1950s. Think about everything that has happened to us from the 1950s all the way up until 2025. Ask yourself, are we being afforded the guarantees of equal social opportunities and protection under the law? Let's think about it, right? Think about this. Think about this, right? Asians don't march for civil rights because under the law, they get those opportunities and protections. Biden came in and got an Asian hate law passed just like that. You say you look at an Asian wrong or do anything with an Asian, and that's it, ball game, right? That's a hate crime now. You got the Asians fighting to get into Yale and Harvard, saying that they're not afforded the same opportunities as other people that get into Yale and Harvard. They don't have to fight for civil rights. East Indians, never see them marching, never see them picketing for civil rights. They are afforded the same guarantees under the laws. They get those opportunities under the laws. Why? Because they are protected by civil. Listen, civil rights is guarantees that American citizens automatically get when they are born into America. You have Asians who are not citizens of America, but still are afforded civil rights. You have East Indians who are still afforded civil rights who are not citizens. You have the Afghans who come over here from Afghanistan and are afforded civil rights. Think about this. They get social service help. They get job placement. They're not even citizens yet, and they get all of this when they come over here, just like the Ukrainians. When they come over here, think about this, right? You have Greektown, you have Little Italy, you have Chinatown, you have every nation of people have a community of their own in America, and never one time have these other nations of people ever fought for civil rights. They are automatically given civil rights. Now, in the article, think about this, right? Let me jump back. To the article. There we go. It says Trump is reversing the Justice Department's civil rights policies, right? It says Donald Trump kicked off his second presidential term with dozens of executive orders, many of which focus on hot button culture war issues, from transgender and abortion rights to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative, which is the DEI. The job of enforcing the administration position on those issues which largely fall to the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. Now, think about this, right? Everybody is still getting their civil rights. Everybody is still receiving civil rights. Everybody has always received civil rights since they've come into this country, except for the so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives. When you make a policy change in America, when a policy change is created, Those policy changes are not created to affect the other nations. The policy changes are created to affect the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives. Think about it, right? We are the only people in America today that are fighting for civil rights. Even though the Asians, the East Indians, the Africans, the Ukrainians, the Afghans, all of them have gotten the rights to vote, but they don't go out to the polls to vote. Why not? Because their civil rights is a thing that they automatically get. Civil rights and the changing of civil rights laws are not created to affect them, but to affect us. We are the only people that live in America that don't have our own communities. We are the only people in America that are consumers and not we don't produce anything. The only people in America that consumes, but we don't produce. We are not in America's market or business place. We're not talking about, you know, these little small, little mom and pop stores. They give us them because they know that it's just something that we look at. And we look at it and say, well, we do got these little stores like that, but it's not anything that we can build a community off of. Think about this. On every corner, we talk about this every week. On every corner, you have the Asians and the Arabs and the East Indians have all the businesses locked up. These are things that they can take. If each one of them, let's just say they own 15 to 20% of all the corners in Baltimore City, each one of them. You have the East Indians, it's 20%. You have the Asians at 20%. You have the Arabs at 20%. And let's just say you have the oppressor at 20%. That's 80% of all corner stores already gone. You may have 0.1% of black people owning those corner stores, but the percentage of them that owns those corner stores, when they come together as one, and they can build a community by owning just 20%. Think about if we own 20%. We could build off of that, but we have given everything that we got to be integrated with our oppressor. And in being integrated with our oppressor, we gave up everything that we had, and that put us in the position that we are in right now. This is the reason why all of the other nations own everything in our community, and we own nothing. Think about it, right? They call them urban neighborhoods, but in fact, these are heathen neighborhoods because we don't even own the houses in our own neighborhoods. And the few people that do own their houses, slowly but surely, they lose those houses. We don't pass them down from generation to generation. The first thing that happens is as soon as, let's say, the grandparents or the great-grandparents die off, they hold on to that house just for a little while. Then everybody, the first thing comes to our mind, let's sell it and let's get money. That's it. We don't think about generational wealth until we have nothing. When we got the little that we do have, when we have that little that we do have, that's the first thing we think about is how much can we get for it and how much can we divvy it up in. Then soon as it's gone, then we start talking generational wealth. Civil rights is a right that people are afforded that are not so-called Black, Hispanic, and Natives. Just think about it, right? Just like we said before, no other nation fights for civil rights but us. No other nation of people come over here and have to fight for anything. They don't have, think about it. No other community of people march like we do. Marching for what? Civil rights? Listen, as slaves of America, we do not have civil rights. They keep making us believe that we have civil rights, but we don't have civil. Think about it, right? Look how easy it is to change policies. Look how easy Trump's showing you how easy it is to change civil rights policies. Think about it, right? He interprets the Constitution the way that he wants to, and then they flip over and say, hey, well, now we have to go back and look. Well, the whole while he's interpreting it the way he wants to, and he changes it as he pleases. Just like every president that comes up interprets that Constitution in a way that he feels that it should be interpreted. And every time they interpret it the way that they want to interpret it, it always goes against us. It doesn't go against them. It goes against us. Soon as our oppressor loses a little something, all hell breaks loose. But we lost a lot of everything. And we don't raise the kind of hell that they raise. You understand? That's what we should be doing. We should be raising that kind of hell. But instead of raising hell, what we need to be doing is just like in Acts, the 5th chapter, verses 31 to 35. We should be coming together. Listen, the scriptures tell us, gather together, yea, gather together, O nation not desire. We got to come together and build ourselves. We always looking forward to somebody building us up. Marching for civil rights is never going to build us up as a people. We get so focused on Trump and what he's doing when we always going to be on the bottom of the totem pole, right? So let's try coming together and building our own selves up. Stop worrying about laws and things like that, and let's build ourselves up. Listen, if we follow the law, statutes, and commandments, we can't, you understand, break the laws of America. And let's build our own selves up. Listen, these nations of people come over here and they come into our communities, take our money and go build their communities. Well, if they come in and taking our money to build their communities, that means we have the money in our communities to build our own community. We just have to come together. We have to come together on one accord. We have the strength to do that. But we so strong-headed, so bull-headed that everybody wants to lead, but nobody wants to follow. Every nation knows that too. They know all they have to do is keep us at odds with each other, and we'll never come out of the hole that we're in. They can always come in and pillage us, because that's what the other nations do. They come in and pillage us. We feeding the other nations. We giving all the other nations everything that they want. They come in, they get these little corner stores, which is not really, when you put 100 of them together, making, let's say, $5,000 or $6,000 a day, because we feed them. Let's say I'm not even gonna give them $5,000 or $6,000 a day. Let's just give them $10,000 a week. You put all of those $10,000 a week, and then look at them not having to pay taxes on that for 10 years with tax abatement. They get all of the opportunities. They are afforded all of these opportunities to build their wealth off of us. Imagine if we stop shopping with them, if we stop buying from their stores, and their stores begin to shut down. Their stores begin to shut down. That civil rights, Trump changing civil rights policies would mean nothing. because they would be out of our neighborhoods, and then we could put our own people in those stores and support our own people in those stores. These people come into our neighborhoods, and we support them with everything that we got. And then one of our people come in with a store, and we don't push any support to them at all. These people treat us like garbage. All the civil rights marching that we did, all of that civil rights, standing and protesting and all of that, and it got them everything that they wanted. Civil rights is for those nations coming in to be over us. Forget marching for civil rights. You can practice civil rights right in your own neighborhood by not supporting those stores that benefit off of civil rights. Those nations of people that get all of the benefits that we supposed to get that we don't get. That's how we can practice civil rights. But going out there marching and voting, what has voting gotten us up to this point? From the 1950s, we've been voting since the 1950s. And what has voting gotten us? Think about it. Since 1950, or let's go 1955. Since 1955 all the way up to 2025, what has voting gotten us? 80 years of voting, almost 80 years of voting. What has it gotten us? Nothing. Why not forget about voting, and why not start putting our energy into our own people? That's civil rights policies that he changed. And listen, we never benefited from civil rights from the beginning. So why are we so pressed about it now? Civil rights never benefited us. Everybody's so worried about civil rights. Trump changing the civil rights policy. Oh my God, we're going crazy. Civil rights ain't never got us nothing. So why are we still concerned about it? You understand? Let's see what it say. It says during the past handover between Democrat and Republican administration, the Civil Rights Division has undergone major policy shifts. During the George W. Bush administration, for example, the division focused resources on fighting religious discrimination. After Barack Obama took office, the division prioritized preventing racial and ethnic discrimination. We still feel that today. Racial and ethnic discrimination. So is civil rights benefiting us? So why are we so concerned about it? Civil rights has never, ever, ever benefited us. Let's leave that civil rights alone. Let's stop marching. Let's stop protesting. And let's put all our energy into our own people. Let's do that. For once, let's do that. All right. So let's see. I want to drop that article. Let's see what else we got in here. Let's see what else we got in here. Let's see. Okay, let's see right here. Let's go. It says, okay, right here. Netanyahu vows to respond to Houthis and their Iranian terror masters at the airport strike. Let's see. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday vowed to respond against the Houthis rebels and their Iranian terror masters after the group fired a missile at Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv. Think about this, right? If I'm not mistaken, Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israelis destroyed 4 airports in Gaza. They destroyed every hospital in Gaza. They destroyed every school in Gaza. They destroyed every store in Gaza. They took Gaza back to the Stone Age. And they are really pressed about a bombing that happened at an airport in Tel Aviv, right? It says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Sunday vowed to respond against the Houthi rebels and their Iranian terror masters. Listen, Iranian terror masters. They blaming the Iranians for backing the Houthis, right? Well, if I'm not mistaken, America is backing the Israelis to do all of the carpet bombing in Gaza and in Yemen and in all of these other places. I don't know. I guess you can hit somebody, but you can't get hit back, right? They can't hit you back. They have the right to protect themselves. So these other nations don't have the right to protect themselves. Now, not that we following behind and not that we are on the side of Gaza or the Yemenis or the Iranians or anything like that, but let's be fair. Let's talk truth. You mean to tell me if you bomb somebody, they are not allowed to bomb you back? And if I'm not mistaken, the Israelis was supposed to have been in a ceasefire months ago, and they bombed these people all the way through the ceasefire. That's kind of strange to me. Listen, it says President Trump said in a post on Truth Social in mid-March that hundreds of attacks being made by the Houthis, the sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen. Think about that. They called them sinister mobsters and thugs based in Yemen, who are hated by the Yemeni people, all eminent from and are created by Iran. They blaming everything on Iran. And listen, they blaming Iran because they really want to go in and attack Iran. It's not that Iran is backing the Houthis. It's just that they have a plan. Listen, they had a plan from back in 2009 to destroy 7 nations in 5 years. Yemen was one of them. Libya was one. Iraq was one. Iran was another. It was 3 other nations I can't really remember off the back, but this was the plan. It was supposed to be 7 nations in 5 years. They made this plan back, and I believe it was 2009 during Barack Obama, right? Destroy these nations in 5 years just to take over these nations. They destroyed Iraq. They destroyed Libya. That's when they, what's his name? Libyan president at the time. Gaddafi. Who was that? Saddam Hussein in Iraq. You understand? They have a plan, and these nations, and the thing about it is they use misinformation, which is what they call, anything that's the truth today that goes against them, misinformation, but they use misinformation to go in and destroy these nations, to unalive these presidents of these nations. You understand? To cripple these nations. Even that, think about that attack that happened last week with India and Pakistan. I wouldn't, like I said last time, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the United States who orchestrated all of that. Because this is what the United States does, especially if your interests doesn't align with America. America will try to cripple your country or destabilize your country. Even if America causes something to happen between 2 countries and make 2 countries go at war with each other. And then they'll step back and then try to act like they stepping in to, make amends between the two countries. Just like the same thing they're doing with Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine is just a proxy for America. America is using Ukraine as a battering ram at Russia. See, when the nation is weakened, they don't want to put themselves at jeopardy, so they use somebody else. It's just like a bully sees somebody that they're not really sure of, so they'll get somebody else to go in and, cause a stir up between that person and that person so that they can see or assess a situation, which is what America does. America's just using Ukraine as a proxy, and Ukraine is getting crushed by Russia. Now America wants to step in. Oh, we need to stop this war. There's, too many lives are being lost and everything like that. America wants to be innocent now. When they see the power of Russia, and then Russia's connected with China, connected with Iran, you understand? America wants no parts of that, but they use Ukraine as a proxy to test the power of Russia. Now they want to step in. Oh, we need to get this under control. We need to, you understand? This is what America does. America does the same thing with us. This is why you got blacks fighting blacks over red and blue rags. Hispanics fighting Hispanics over the same thing. Fighting over neighborhoods that don't even belong to us. This is what America does. And as long as America keeps us at each other's throats, we'll never focus on our real enemy. Well, this is the same thing that America does to other nations. America is at war with a lot of other nations, but America causes tensions between other nations to keep the focus off of her. This is why you got a North and South Korea. You understand? East and West Germany. You understand? This is the reason why you have a North and South, or Vietnam. You understand? Or Korea. These are the reasons why you have a North and South of any of these other nations. Just like with India and Pakistan. They got destabilized by the British back in 1940. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1947. It was the formula that the British used on them. That's the reason why you have India and Pakistan. It used to be one country. Then they got a little Bangladesh snugged up in there. And now they don't know, you understand, the 26 people that were attacked, that had a terror attack in India last week, and India is now blaming Pakistan for it. Pakistan said they had nothing to do with it. Now remember this, India is a nation of 1.4 billion people. If I'm not mistaken, Pakistan has 255 million. That's almost 5 to 1, or 5 to 1, something like that. That's almost 5 to 1 in the favor of India. But that's just the way I think. You understand? So these are the things that America does. You understand? And back in the Israelis against what they're doing and everything like that, it's a tight position to be in, We got to wake up and we got to stop. We got to focus ourselves and stop focusing on the petty things that's going on in America. And we need to focus on our people. If we focus on our people, and that's what we do right here in the ISUPK, we focus on our people. We don't focus on any other nations of people. We focus on what these nations are trying to do to us. But we don't focus when two other nations that have nothing to do with us are going at each other's throats. That's the time that you're supposed to take when they're going at each other's throat and make a plan. And our plan is to build our nation up. Think about it, right? Think about the black cities and towns that were around here in America. Those black cities and towns got destroyed by our oppressor because our oppressor realized that if we stayed focused and we stayed to ourselves, that we would eventually overthrow them. That's the reason why they destroyed our cities and towns. That's why we don't own anything in America. They destroyed us, crushed us into powder, bought up all of America, and then they so-called freed, so-called emancipation. We got so-called emancipated. Now look at us now. Think about it. That's something to really think about. They understood that they left us to our own devices that we would eventually surpass them. Think about it. America pushed all of the industries out of America into these little countries outside of America, making America rely on all of these other countries. Trump comes in and builds all of these tariffs. And how can you not realize that a tariff actually goes against the country who's putting the tariff out? Why is that? Because that tariff eventually comes back and falls onto the consumer or the person who's buying the things that have tariffs on them coming from those other countries. So eventually we pay those tariffs. Those other countries don't pay those tariffs. It's us that pays that. United States is a big corporation. That's all they think about. It's all about capitalism. Capitalism is a thing that destroys nations. Look at what's happening to America now. I think they said America was $37 trillion in debt. 37 trillion. That's a bad business practice right there. And if the dollar falls, you're going to see all kinds of hell break loose. We already know what hell is. So it ain't going to be nothing off of us. But don't begin to think that you are American. Don't begin to think that you have civil rights. Know who you are. Know who we are. And come together and let's build us up. You understand? With that, it's the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out of 1 West 125th Street under commanding General Yohana. This is it for the 1 West News Desk. I'm going to shut down and I'm going to get ready for class. I'm going to set my class up and we're going to be back in about 10 minutes. Give me about 10, 15 minutes. I'll be reset up and we're going to start class. All right. And with that, Shalom, Israel.